This evening, I'm taking a walk in the Catlins, with a hope to find a particularly elusive creature. The sun is just setting, so it's the best time of day to spot them. The trouble is, they're not easy to see and even harder to hear. In the past year, this tiny animal has caused quite the stir, receiving huge volumes of attention from all over the world. This controversial mammal is the long-tailed bat. How could the pekapeka-tou-roa, long-tailed bat, weighing in the same as only a $2 coin, receive worldwide heated attention? Aotearoa's independent organisation Forest and Bird runs a yearly competition where New Zealanders vote for their favourite bird. The bird of the year, Te Manu Rongonui o Te Tau. In 2019, the hoiho, yellow-eyed penguin, came out on top. In 2020, it was the kakapo. But in 2021, it was the long-tailed bat. A bat won Bird of the Year. I was living in the UK at the time, and the news that a mammal had won Aotearoa's Bird of the Year competition even reached my hometown. My dad, who is a Kiwi, thought it was ridiculous, and many other New Zealanders felt similar. On Facebook, one man even said, before the results were released, "If a bat wins Bird of the Year, it will be a national disgrace." And it is understandable for a few to be upset. A bat is definitely not a bird. To learn a little more about the long-tailed bat, and hopefully aid my search tonight, I spoke to Katrina Gower. Katrina is a bat expert and founder of the Catlins Bat Project, as well as science communicator at the Otago Museum.
It comes out quite early in the evening, so you can actually see it. It's at early dusk, and it comes out. Although it lives in native forest, there are a few in other trees and things, but they're hanging on rather than that's their preferred place.
Okay.
But they will come out of the forest, they fly above the trees into open areas so that you can see them. They go down waterways, they can do 20 kilometres away from where they roost, and they shout really loud.
So, an important question is, why was a bat allowed to be entered into the competition in the first place? To find out, I spoke to Ben Paris, bat conservationist and New Zealand's very own Batman.
So when I first moved to Auckland, a lot of people were very interested in the work that I was doing. So I started a sort of social media channel on Facebook called NZ Batman. A high school teacher contacted me and said that he was really interested in putting bats across as for Bird of the Year. And I said, well, I've tried many times with Forest and Bird, but I haven't had any luck. Yeah, he was very convincing, and the fact that Forest and Bird had recently changed their name of their competition translated into Te Reo, and that included Manu, which most people assumed was bird, but it actually includes all flying things, including bats. We figured this was a great loophole, so we managed to utilise that, and yeah, we started campaigning for long-tailed bats for Bird of the Year.
So, Ben and the school teacher, a man called Peter Willis, managed to persuade Forest and Bird to include bats into the competition because the Te Reo term Manu includes both birds and bats. Prior to the competition, most New Zealanders didn't know that Aotearoa had bats, yet they hold importance in Mātauranga Māori knowledge.
In Māori culture, bats are seen as foreboding of bad times, but they're also tonga, are treasured. So bats appear in a lot of different traditional Māori moko, face tattoos and things like that. Bats are firmly within the Te Ao Māori worldview.
I think this shows how Mātauranga Māori both helps us better understand the world around us and also protect it. By conserving bats and all Manu, we conserve Indigenous culture and vice versa. As we embed Mātauranga Māori back into education and everyday life, more people will understand Te Reo, and perhaps a future Aotearoa wouldn't have found a bat to win Te Manu Rongonui o Te Tau to be quite so controversial. We know how a bat managed to worm its way into the competition, but how did it win?
People love controversy. Some of the people who were involved in actually pushing it as well, they were very clever with some of the memes, because it goes on memes and, it's all social media now, really. So some of those things worked really well.
Okay.
Yeah, and the bird of the year, and it's really nice, but up to a point it's almost nice twee, kind of nice.
Yeah.
And bats definitely shakes that image.
Yeah.
And the people who voted, I knew loads and loads of people who voted had never voted for Bird of the Year ever.
And the man behind those memes that Katrina mentioned was Ben.
Well, I think New Zealand loves the underdog. I mean, that's why I was promoting it, both for the underbat, because they were unusual and most people didn't even know that our bats existed. So I guess that was the whole point of the competition, really, was to try and raise that awareness. And we thought we were the underdogs completely, comparing ourselves to some of the superstar celebrity birds like kakapo and kiwi, and the results were outstanding. And Twitter really came alive in producing different memes, and memes seemed to win Bird of the Year. And even some of the detractors of the competition who really hated on the long-tail bat being in there, I think that even helped the bat, because people really threw their support behind the bat, who they really felt sorry for, because it doesn't belong.
Aotearoa has 2 species of bat. Our winner, the long-tailed, and another species, the short-tailed. Before the competition, New Zealand's other bat, the short-tailed, was the one in the spotlight, because of its strange hunting habit, which is to crawl along the forest floor.
Everybody films and everybody talks about the short-tailed bat. The short-tailed bat is it's the weird one.
Weird.
Yeah. Oh, it's the wacky one. It does all these sort of strange things, and like all New Zealand bats like that going out. No, there's got this other bat, And so that was the underdog. Yes. Yeah. And it was. It's like, they're widespread. Actually, no, they're not. And in a way, they're more critically endangered than the others, partly because they're the underdog, so people hadn't been looking for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of study on the short-tails, and they're actually, the ones in South Island are now recovering, so they're endangered but recovering, whereas the long-tail are still critically endangered.
So controversy, a human tendency to pity the underdog, and the power of social media were really the factors that made this little mammal come out on top. The storm of a bat being part of the competition, let alone winning, meant that even globally people were learning about New Zealand's long-tailed bat. But is all press good press? Perhaps the Bird of the Year competition has created more animosity to an already generally misunderstood creature. A chat with a friend of mine made me realise that it may have even created misinformation as to what group a bat fits into. What do you think about a bat winning Bird of the Year?
Why would a bird that no one's heard about win for Bird of the Year?
Firstly, do you know that a bat isn't a bird, that it's a mammal?
A bat's not a bird.
This came from someone who regularly votes for Bird of the Year, so you can see how the unexplained addition of a new participant could be misleading. Despite this, their controversial win has really turned the tables for this little mammal. As Katrina said, long-tailed bats are one of New Zealand's critically endangered species. One of the best aids to conservation is outreach, which is why the Bird of the Year contest is so fantastic.
As soon as the news came out, all these international media outlets all suddenly picked up that this bat had won the Bird of the Year in New Zealand. That's great for awareness, and I think that was awesome. And people were talking about it for weeks afterwards, about how proud they were that that a little bat could overtake all the birds. But there's also been some really cool partnership and sponsorship opportunities as well, such as Metal Bird, who makes these metal art pieces of our birds. They made a metal bat. Proceeds from that go towards Forest and Birds bat projects, it's really awesome. These little things that we can try and get out in the public's mind, so that trying to get people to remember, we do have these really special mammals in New Zealand, and we do need to look after them.
Chatting to Ben also made me realise that the awareness of long-tailed bats provided by the competition helps to conserve Aotearoa's birds as much as its bats. Conservation efforts that go into bats, like planting local trees and pest control, also protect species like the kakapo and the kiwi. So now it's finally time for me to find myself a long-tailed bat. I've got a bat detector with me so I can eavesdrop on their echolocations. Their ability to echolocate makes bats very special. They utter high-frequency clicks that bounce off their surroundings, creating an audible echo to help them navigate. As a bat gets closer to their prey, the echoes are louder and more frequent, allowing the bat to hone in and grab that snack. Most species echolocate at different frequencies, so a bat detector not only lets you eavesdrop, but also decipher what species you're listening to. I set the detector to the long-tailed bat's frequency, 40 kHz, and then I wait. The long-tailed bat, pekapeka-tou-roa, really is an amazingly unique creature. Its amazing win means it will no longer be overlooked, and this new awareness will help protect whole ecosystems. The story of this little underbat really gives hope to all of Aotearoa's Manu. Thank you. Ngā mihi nui.